that was no joke. Like
He-
that,
yeah.
he could really control the game. He can really slow it down. And to be 23 years old and do that, if this guy just keeps healthy,
He seems
which
to
is,
also have the poise and composure. The moment is not too big for him, almost maybe to a fault of it. It seems like he's just very low key.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays. From game analysis to player interviews, we've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
my name is Ulises Sambrano.
Bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our sixth season covering the Rays daily.
In every season up till the year 2024, they've gone to the playoffs, but you can still grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on the X Machine and Instagram machine at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
All right. Today's episode, we have another player review, and it being a Friday, we have baseball trivia and Name That War to spice things up a tad. Ulises on the docket to be reviewed with a what went right, what went wrong, their future with the team, and the ultimate letter grade. Taj Bradley. What would you like to say about Taj Bradley?
Well, the 23-year-old had an improvement.
Yes.
For a sophomore season in 2024. Did start the year a little bit hurt with the pectoral IL stint, but after a couple of outings, he just went off. In fact, he won Pitcher of the Month in July, going 31 innings, pitched with a 1.45 ERA, only 17 hits allowed, and 31 Ks. Opponents were hitting 160 off him. They were slugging 255. He basically was nails. And you could not do anything to him during that month in July. And in fact, if you look at it a little bit more, it's, 3 starts in June also did very well. That's the biggest thing that I could see, like macro, but I did find this little nugget that I really like, the O swing percentage, which, if you guys don't know what O swing percentage is the percentage of swings done outside the strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
He increased that from 28% to 31%. So he's making hitters chase outside the strike zone. So that, obviously his stuff is nasty, but he is learning the craft of getting MLB players to be fooled on his offerings more often than not than last year. So I think that's an improvement that should be noted.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it all in totality, from 23 to 24, the ERA much better, the FIP much better, the WHIP much better, and again, just 23 years old, 5th round draft pick, really, really impressive stuff.
Yeah.
The development for the Rays for him out of high school. And he's a guy who I think can continue to grow, thrive, develop, and ultimately get better. And he has a lot going for him. And yeah, there's some things, some negatives that we'll focus on, but already he's got a legit 4-pitch mix between the fastball, the cutter, the split. And he's got one other pitch I can't think of off the top of my head. The slider, correct?
Curveball.
There we go. Yeah.
Split finger and cutter. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny because we know the life that he has on the fastball. You can get it up 97, 98, maybe occasionally 99, but the value might be more in the off speed. And one of the differences he made from last year to this past season was altering his pitch mix, using his splitter more, his cutter less, It allowed him to be more improved against right-handed batters. But I think the key, if you look at a strike zone box, for me, what I notice when he's getting a lot of swings and misses with 2 strikes and runners on, it's when he's keeping the cutter and both the splitter down in the zone, bottom of the zone, and guys are swinging over top of it, and those pitches are moving in opposite directions, and the hitter doesn't know what's coming to it. And we talk about his velocity. I mean, a splitter is essentially a changeup, split change,
Right.
and he's throwing that 91 miles an hour at
Right.
times. So that is really, really remarkable from that perspective. And
guess what? When those offerings go in the bottom of the strike zone, what's going to happen? Ground balls. And if you have a good defensive team, which usually the Rays do, that can make it for quick innings, double plays, easy outs on the base path. So that definitely helps him.
Yeah. Now, as far as I might be getting ahead of myself on his future with the team. We know he's going to be on the team for some time here, but at his peak, based on what you've seen the past 2 seasons and what you expect, what is his maximum output? Is it a number 1? Is it a number 2? Is it a number 3? I guess it depends on which franchise he's playing for. You know, not all aces are created equal. But does he at least
not every opening day starter is an ace?
That is true. Like if Zach Littell is the opening day starter, he is not necessarily the ace. But do you think he can work himself into that ace status one day, or you need to see a lot more over the next couple of years?
I'd need to see, some improvement, obviously, in 2025. But he is at a great spot right now. The way that he pitched in those 8-9 straight starts, which earned him July Pitcher of the Month, that was no joke. Like he could really control the game. He can really slow it down. And to be 23 years old and do that, if this guy just keeps healthy, which is such a question mark nowadays with how pitcher injuries go, and usually how Rays pitching injuries go, if he's just able to be healthy, I wouldn't put it, past him that he couldn't be a Cy Young contender, just like Shane Baz and Shane McClanahan. Like I see top 1, 2 of the rotation for sure with Tosh,
and he seems to also have the poise and composure. The moment is not too big for him, almost maybe to a fault of it. It seems like he's just very low key in how he goes about things overall. But we talk about the age thing. I mean, there are top pitching prospects that are 23 years old that are his age that have not yet even reached the show. And he's got, a couple hundred innings of experience. I hate to mention his name, but that's what we talked so much about Wander is he's a sophomore in college by age, and he's already an all-star and already a wonderkind and one of the top players in baseball. But I'll digress from that. All right, we have more to discuss on Taj Bradley. But first, Ulises, we have to tell the audience something very important.
That's right. And that is Ibotta. People, you want to save some money, you can do that with Ibotta because the holidays are coming up. You're going to be spending money, but there's nothing better than spending money and then saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to get some of that back. And Ibotta does that. Okay. If you hate grocery shopping, Ibotta is making your Thanksgiving easier with cash back on everything you need to make your perfect holiday meal. So you can get the turkey and your favorite sides for free. This means that in this month, Ibotta is giving new users 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast. Just add the offers in the app to redeem to everything you need to make your Thanksgiving feast complete. All you have to do is shop at your favorite retailers and upload your receipt. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items from produce to personal care to pantry goods. So download the Ibotta app now and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast starting November 1st. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB.
We also want to tell you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. That is America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place those bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's all done at FanDuel.com. So never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. They are an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Okay, getting to what went wrong with Taj Bradley. Ulises, you want to lead it off with your bugaboos with him from 2024?
I think the bugaboos was lack of fuel. If you look at the splits between the first half and the second half, it is ugly. I mean, in the first half, you had a 2.90 ERA. It goes to 5.30. In the second half, opponents were hitting 200, about 200, 208, and the second half, 260. They were slugging 356 against them. They slugged 457. So it all kind of went downhill a little bit. And what worries me a little bit is that it's not like you can say, oh, well, maybe it's a little bit of a small sample size or anything like that. It's the same sample size from first half to second half. In the first half, he pitched 68 and a third. In the second half, he pitched 69 and 2/3. So essentially, you're looking at the same picture and just a completely different pitcher. Less strikeouts, more contact, a little bit more home runs allowed. That worries me a little bit, but I also, if I want to get in the head of it, of like, okay, why did this happen? Let's go back to what we said in the first segment. Dude's 23.
Right.
So, has he ever pitched this many innings before? It's his first quote unquote full season, even though last year he did have quite a bit of showing. But I just feel like that's just more of a young pitcher not knowing how to maybe regulate his starts, his stuff, and that comes with time.
No, I think those are all good points there. And I mean, we go back to the first half, he was putting up Paul Skeens numbers. It was that was the headline, was Taj Bradley has a better run over the course of these 9-10 starts than Paul Skeens in the same amount of time. But yeah, I think it's the fact that minor leagues, he had never put forth this output. And I'm sure that's something that the Rays are going to address with him, of how do you handle and battle through the dog days of summer, what you need to do rest-wise, conditioning-wise, nutrition-wise, gearing yourself up for cross-country travel. And I know that the Rays are always going to have a difficult schedule based on the division they're in and based on the amount of travel that they have to deal with. But they did have the, I believe, toughest schedule after the All-Star break and in the second half. So maybe that added a little bit too. Maybe also, scouting reports as you go along in the season get figured out a little bit, and you have to go back and reverse course to some extent. But I would also say maybe, not saying that Taj Bradley is like this, but young player, maybe you get frustrated with offense not helping out and giving up their weight. Maybe you're trying to do a little bit more, and maybe you kind of zone out to some extent. So it could be a number of factors in that regard. And then tied in with that, and part of the reason why he struggled in the second half is when contact is made, the ball gets hit hard off Taj Bradley. All you have to do is go to Savant and look at the average exit velocity, look at the barrel percentage, look at the hard hit percentage, or the hard hit rate. 22 homers that he gave up. I'd have to go back and look at how those 22 homers were distributed and attacked. But that is something that you need to be able to harness going forward. So.
Yeah, and you're giving up 22 taters. You didn't start 30 games. So it's kind of like, okay, well, if we're going into a game, you're going to probably see a bomb being put up.
That's a homer a game, and you hope that there aren't runners in base. And his respect, I mean, there were many times where he was in a bases loaded jam, he was able to get out of it. But you give up a 3-run tater, especially if you're the 2024 Rays, you're not recovering from that. That's the ball game right there. One pitch, that's the game.
The game has been set. If it's a 3-run bomb and you have a 2024 Rays offense, like, you're not coming back from that. Mm-hmm. And so what do you do when you do that in the second inning, in the second half, if you're Taj Bradley? Are you going to be like, gung-ho? It might bring your emotional, tank a little bit down. You might be a little, obviously upset that you gave up the 3-run shot, but now the thought has to come through your head in July, not even July, but August and September, that they're not going to pick me up.
Right.
I mean, you love those guys. They're your teammates and you love them, but like, you also know their capabilities and what they're doing. So you're not out there saying, oh yeah, Alex Jackson is going to give me a 3-run shot and put us back in the game.
Right.
Like, you have to be a realist. You might not say that to them, but you got to think it, because you can see the big jumbotron with the numbers that everybody's putting up.
Right. Maybe that's some of it is Alex Jackson exiting the team. His buddy, his battery mate, maybe that had a little something to it as well. Just throwing that out there, somewhat tongue in cheek. But yeah, I think there could be a little bit of, it's just human nature of bad analogy, but you're failing a class. There's no way to dig out of it. Why am I going to study for a test? Why am I going to put effort into assignment? The deed is done. It doesn't matter if I get a 50 or a 30. It's an F either way, basically. So just want to throw that out there with Taj Bradley. All right, his future with the team. Don't think that's in jeopardy. I think that he should be on the Rays for the next several years. Really, the question should be with him is if the Rays are ever going to have extension talks. And the Rays do have some competition, or maybe Taj Bradley has some competition in that respect with some other capable young starters as well. But really shouldn't have anything to worry about Taj Bradley, as he'll be arbitration eligible in 2027 and then a free agent in 2030. So you get hopefully productivity with a low cost for the next couple of years.
So if you're a Rays fan that wants to get a shirt or a jersey with somebody's name on it, I think it's a pretty good bet to get Bradley, and you're going to get at least 3 years of usage on that. If that's too little, I understand, but hey, you're also a Rays fan, so let's put those things in perspective. Not a lot of Brandon Laus and Kevin Kiermaiers and Evan Longoria's happen, okay?
Right.
So yeah, I think his future with the team is more than secure. I would say I'm really interested in seeing that battle between McClanahan, Boz, Bradley, and Pepio.
Yes.
Like, that is going to be one of the most fun, if they all bleeping keep healthy. That's going to be one of the most fun competitions that we've seen within a Rays rotation since, I've said this before, since 2012.
Yes.
Which was the best rotation we've ever seen as a Rays fan. But
Can you name them
really
all?
fun.
Can you name all the 2012 guys?
Let's start with Cobber, number one.
Okay.
But you know what? I can't say it.
All right.
I can't say it.
Oh, is that a trivia question?
Maybe it's a trivia question, Kevin.
All right. I didn't mean to blow up your spot there. Okay. Before we get to baseball trivia, Name That War, we do have to give Taj Bradley a grade, and I'm just going to fire it off right here. I'll give him an 86.
I have him at an 85, so let's go with 86 just to be. I think it's great. We saw some improvement, but we know that the ceiling has not yet been reached.
Yes, that is true. All right, more coming up, but first we have to tell the audience something very important, including Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, that is, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for just $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing does involve risk. The rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
You want to get aligned. You want to feel good, but you just don't have the time. Guess what? The Joint is there for you. When? Before work, during work, after work, evenings, weekends. Do you have to schedule with them? No. You can just walk in, no hassles, and they're there for you. Guess what? There's no insurance hassles either, okay? They have very low budget friendly care for you to get you in the best shape possible. And to prove this, as a race fan, as a Bucks fan, you get to have your first visit for just $19. You can head over to Buccaneers.com, check out the contest and promotion section under the fans tab, and download that offer. Again, $19. That's an amazing deal, and you can get that today. A great deal for great fans. Head to thejoint.com to find your nearest Tampa area location.
All right, Ulises, it's one of our favorite times of the week, not just being a Friday, but because we get to do baseball trivia, name that war. Ulises, what do you have in the arena of baseball trivia?
Well, seeing as you blew up my spot.
Sorry about that.
My gosh. We were talking about Taj Bradley, and I wanted to, remember the strikeout pitchers of old.
Okay.
So right now, I have 11 of the top race pitchers all time with strikeouts. Okay. 11. Kevin, because you blew up my spot, can you name 10 of these 11?
10 of the top 11 strikeout pitchers in Rays franchise history, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm guessing it's going to be mostly or exclusively Rays starters. I will say James Shields.
He's the clubhouse leader at 1250.
I will say Cobber.
He is number 7 at 570.
James Shields. All right, I already said him. Sorry, James Shields twice. He was so good. Sorry, I tried, because I want to mark this down. 10's a lot of names, and I tried one pin, didn't work. Tried a second pin, didn't work. I'm on my third pin, so I'm just catching up here. That one finally works. David Price.
David Price is number 3, like your pens, 1,065.
Scott Kazmir.
Number 4 at 874.
Chris Archer.
At number 2 with 1,167.
Shot in the dark, but I'll throw it out there. Tyler Glasnow.
Number 8 at 526.
Shot in the dark, but I'll throw it out there. Shane McClanahan.
Strike 1.
Okay. No Shane Mack. All right. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names. Matt Garza.
Number 10 on the list, tied with 467.
Little hint here. Is there a reliever, quote unquote, on this list?
Very good question. One guy could fit that description, but he was also a starter, and he was also called something else, and I've given you too much.
Okay, I'm guessing he was an opener. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know why the name Andy Sonnenstein is coming forward. He is definitely not on the list. Jeff Neiman, I don't think he would be on the list either. I will say Wade Davis. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
Strike 2.
Oof.
Do you want hints?
Sure.
You're missing one that's very obvious.
Okay.
Another one that's underrated starting pitcher for the Rays. And 3 guys that at one point or another were the best pitcher in the rotation.
So they were the quote-unquote aces of the staff. Well, the Rays have gone through a lot of pitchers, and I don't know why I'm struggling so much here.
I want you to just tell me what's the obvious guy that you're missing.
Shields, Cobb, Price, Casimir, Archer, Glasnow, Garza. Who is the obvious? This isn't the obvious name, but I'm going to throw it out there. Jeremy Hellickson. No.
Strike 3, my friend. At number 5, let's give you the whole list. James Shields, number 1. Number 2, Chris Archer. Number 3, David Price. Number 4, Scott Casimir. Number 5 is the obvious one, and maybe people in the YouTube comments are going to go ape blank on you. Blake Snell. Balake.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's so far removed now. 2020 was such a blur. And I just assumed he was taken out in the 5th inning every time. Or 6th inning. He's now on. He's a couple teams. Once you're a couple teams removed, I tend to forget you. Although that doesn't really hold up with all these other guys. But yeah, I should have gotten that one.
Only 2 Cy Young winners. He's one of them for the franchise. Number 6, underrated guy, Jake Odorizzi. Number 7, Alex Cobb. Number 8, Tyler Glasnow. Number 9, he was my boy during college, Matt Moore.
Good choice.
Number 10, tied Matt Garza and Ryan Yarborough.
Oh, holy cow. I would not have guessed that in a million years. Wow. Yeah. Good question. Good list. I'm going to get hammered on the YouTube comments, but my brain is a little bit fried right now. Name that war where we take a player from the past and try to guess their baseball reference war. A catcher, because we've been talking about catchers. The Rays need a catcher or 2 or 3 or 10. Without giving it away, well-known name, pretty good, Paul LaDuca.
Wow. Mets legend. Paul LaDuca.
And Dodgers legend, and Florida Marlins legend, and Washington Nationals legend.
Washington Nationals legend. So let's go with a dozen years in the big leagues. Didn't he have like a conspiracy theory or something with an umpire or something? Like he got in trouble with something?
Oh, I don't recall all that. I know there was some questions about one year hitting more home runs than he did any other year.
Okay. Well, there was a whole thing with an umpire, I think. Okay. But anyway, Paul LaDuca, he was pretty good. Dozen years in the league. I'm going to go and say 2 WAR for, let's say, half of those years. That's 18. And then maybe 1 for the rest. So that would be 24. But I don't think. Let's go. 24 WAR.
24 WAR. Paul LaDuca played 11 years in the bigs, career 286 batting average from the catcher position, 80 home runs, 1,112 hits. What is remarkable about him, besides a 746 career OPS and 97 OPS plus, is the strikeout rate or lack thereof. Oh my gosh, this is like Tony Gwynn-esque. There was one year where he had 632 plate appearances, and he struck out. Where is it here? He struck out 54 times. That was the most that he struck out. Every other time was like 49, 27, 31, 38. Bat to ball master.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And he was a 4.
Wait, he was just like Alex Jackson. What?
The anti-Alex Jackson. They could not be polar opposites.
Right.
But Paul LaDuca, putting it out there, his career WAR, and maybe he didn't get enough love because of the power or lack thereof, or I don't know, maybe something defensively. 17.8 was the number. Personally, based on what he did offensively, I think that should be higher, but who am I to judge?
So. Look up that umpire thing with LaDuca. Maybe that's about it.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
yeah, I'm just salivating on the lack of strikeouts from him and the batting averages and good on base. I mean, that would be not just from a catcher, but anybody. I'll take that all day, every day. So
I knew it. I knew it. Major League Baseball umpire, this is in 2021. Major League Baseball umpire Joe West was awarded $500,000 in damages plus interest dating to July 8th in a defamation suit against former All-Star catcher Paul Loduca. West's suit claimed Loduca said during the podcast that when the player was catching Billy Wagner during the Mets game against the Philadelphia Phillies in 2006 or 2007, West called 3 straight batters out on strikes. The umpire added that Loduca claimed Wagner told him the reason he got the calls was the pitcher had allowed West to drive his 1957 Chevy. Oh,
holy cow. I got to read more about that story, and so
Yeah.
should you as the listeners, because that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a Netflix miniseries or an episode.
Everybody has homework today, and that's to read that article. There you go.
It wouldn't be the first time that some questionable decisions have been made by Joe West and or many other umpires. Again, if we know their name as an ump or ref or whatever, game official, probably not really a good thing. All right. On that note, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.